Hey guys, welcome back to another video. So, since Spider-Man Brand New Day has released, I am going to be giving you guys finally my ranking of Spider-Man movies. I was going to do this a year or so ago, but I was like, no, we're getting a new Spider-Man movie in a year, so I'll do it to then. Now, these are live-action movies because I feel like that what I'll do is that when Spider-Verse Beyond the Spider-Verse comes out, I'll do a ranking of everything because the Spider-Verse movies connects all the Spider-Man movies. So I'll do the Spider-Man movies, I'll do the Sony movies, I'll do the Spider-Verse movies, and things like that. So don't worry, you'll get your Spider-Verses in there just next year. So I'm very excited. So let's get into this ranking. So, at number 9 we have The Amazing Spider-Man. To be fair, I don't think that there's a single bad Spider-Man movie, but this one is definitely the lowest for me because it's one of those things where it's like, I think that like the origin part of this movie sucks. I do not like the origin part of this movie. I think that if you cut out some of the ridiculous scenes, if you cut the train scene out, the train scene where he's flipping over, kicking everyone's asses, and taking the bra off the woman or the top off the woman and things like that, and you cut that, he gets bitten by the spider. You cut to he gets fired out of Oscorp. You cut to him coming home and he does the whole like, I'm hungry, and goes up to his room and stuff. If you do that, that's so much better. And you cut the stupid basketball scene out and things like that. So, and then the other problem that I have with The Amazing Spider-Man is that, like, I don't mind the suit. The suit, there are elements of it that I like. I don't like the eyes. I get trying to make it more menacing in terms of the universe. But, like, I do like, how I do like the way that the TASM 1 suit looks in terms of like the texture of it and things like that. But I don't mind the long spider. I don't mind a lot of it. I think the eyes are the main bit. I'm just like, really? Come on. But the main problem I have with this movie is that you try and make Spider-Man Batman, and that's a big freaking problem. Now Batman is one of my favorite superheroes of all time, along with Spider-Man. Like Spider-Man number 1, Batman number 2. But I love them for totally different reasons, not the same reason. So when you try and make a Spider-Man Batman, it makes me a very not concerned, but it makes me go like, what? I'm not watching a Batman movie, I'm watching a Spider-Man movie. I'm expecting fights during the day, not during the nights. The only time you see him fight during the day is in the damn school, which is a great fight. Other than that, you only see him during the night, which is frustrating to me. And I'm like, I would prefer watching the Raimi Spider-Man movies, the Holland Spider-Man movies, even TASM 2, any day of the week than TASM. Even though they'll give it a 6 out of 10, I don't think that... It's not as bad as I used to think it was, but I do think it is a little slow, and if you cut some stuff out and you made more scenes during the day and you have more action, it could be a very strong contender for a lot of these other Spider-Man movies. Coming in at number 8, we have The Amazing Spider-Man 2. This movie's not good. This movie's a mess. But, I will say, the reason why I like it is that it reminds me a lot of what Spider-Man should be. This movie feels very much like the Sam Raimi movies, where like, it's cartoony, it's bright, it's colourful, it's goofy as all hell. Even though that the Sam Raimi movies are probably a bit more grounder than TASM 2, but TASM 2, I like how it's a cartoon. I do agree the Rhino's not that great, Goblin's terrible. The only one that's actually pretty decent is Electro. And so, I think that like the chemistry between Andrew Garfield and Emma Stone is great. I think the quips are a lot more Spider-Man quips, unlike TASM 1, where he's literally talking about how Small Nose is his weakness. I don't think that that's something Spider-Man would ever say. That's another problem I have with TASM 1. But the whole bit where he's talking to Rhino at the beginning, going like, yeah, no, Mr. Criminal. It's like doing the whole like that bit and doing the whole like whipping his hands while he's getting the vial and taking down his underpants and stuff. That's Spider-Man. He would do that type of stuff. And so like, and then like, the cool thing is that like you actually have. I do agree that the Electro theme is weird, but I don't hate it. It gives you character development that they couldn't do within the movie itself with his theme. So I also think that that's really good. I think that Electro adds more of a vibrant to the action in this movie. Like all the scenes where he's fighting Electro, there's a brightness to it because when you have the blue electricity coming out, it's like color has gone over the screen. And it's like, oh my god, it's like, this is what we were missing from the first one, is bright colours. And then, like, the action is some of the best action we've ever seen. Like, the Times Square fight is absolutely amazing. And I honestly think that I think, too, is that you have the suit is also amazing. The power fight in the grid is also amazing. And I think that the relationship between Andrew Garfield and Emma Stone is the thing that really works in this movie. You get a lot of their cute moments in there. You can tell that Mark Webb was really focusing on the relationship of them. And it doesn't help that he comes from romance movies like 500 Days of Summer, which he did before TASM 1. So I really like TASM 2. I think that TASM 2, yes, has problems, but I don't think it's as bad as people think it is. I think that has more high highs than low lows. I think the low lows is mainly comes from your parent subplot, your Goblin, and Rhino. The rest of the stuff is all amazing. So yeah, TASM 2 is really good. Coming number 7, we have Spider-Man 3. Now, Spider-Man 3, this is another underrated one. I think that Spider-Man 3 is one of those ones that, like, you watch it and you're like, wow, this is really good. I think that if you basically, because the thing is too, is that like, yes, it's the weakest out of the Raimi trilogy, but it still has the Raimi Spider-Man flavor there, and it also has the same heart. It has the heart and spirit that the first two Sam Raimi movies have. I think the only thing is that I think if you cut out the dancing and you did like a montage, like you still did a montage, but except for doing a montage where he's dancing, you do a montage where it's basically Spider-Man flipping around, fighting criminals, but a lot more angrily than what he normally does, as opposed to just having that one bit in the bar where he slaps MJ, which, yes, should be the, oh crap, I've gone too far. But I think that if you replace that stuff with the criminals, with some criminals being up, basically what you did in Brand New Day, where in Brand New Day, in the opening, you have the montage with like Tombstone, Scorpion and stuff. You do that, but in Spider-Man 3, replace it, take the dance stuff out and replace it with a montage of fighting all sorts of Spider-Man comic villains, and he's going way more violent than he normally does. You do that, and also you cut out the Venom, the symbiote lands on Eddie, and then he launches towards the screen. You end it there, and then you move on to a part 2, and you expand the final battle and the relationship between Harry and Peter a little more. That would be great, because I think that the Harry storyline, at the end of the day, is pretty good. I think the amnesia thing is a little problematic, but I don't hate it as much as everyone else does. I think the Sandman stuff really, really works. I think that the Sandman stuff is one of the highlights of that movie. I love Sandman, and I love James Franco's Goblin and that storyline. Just maybe find another storyline other than the amnesia storyline. But I think that other than that, like, because the action scenes are quite good. Like, I love the fight between Peter and Sandman, the subway. I love the final battle when Harry has a, like, oh, Peter was actually trying to save the city from my awful father. So I think that is very, very strong. I think that the other thing that's very strong too is the Aunt May stuff. The Aunt May stuff is great. I think that there's a lot of great stuff in Spider-Man 3 that people just overlook because they were so underwhelmed because they only think of the dancing, which they don't think of the good in Spider-Man 3. I think that there's a lot more good in Spider-Man 3 than bad, to be honest. But it's easily one of my... it's definitely in my top 10 Spider-Man movies, for sure. At number 6, we have Spider-Man Homecoming. Now, Homecoming, this and my number 5 always teeter-totter between what one I like more. But Spider-Man Homecoming, I think that it's a great Spider-Man movie. I think that the street levelness is really good. I will say... the stuff that everyone's kind of been saying, they have kind of... every time I rewatch Homecoming now, I've become more wary of everyone's complaints of like, oh, it's just Tony Stark Jr., it's, not Spider-Man, like Spider-Man doesn't really do anything throughout the movie, like, he always has to have Iron Man come rescue him, and things like that. So those problems stand out to me a little bit more. I think that's also because why I have it a little lower than some other people do. But I'm very positive on Homecoming. I'm more positive than I'm not. I think that Vulture is clearly one of the best Spider-Man villains we've ever gotten, up there with Goblin and Ock. I think that I think Michael Keaton's such a great job in that movie. I think that Tom Holland does amazing. I think that it's very interesting seeing kind of because the things too with Homecoming, because the fact that it's just outside my top 5 is a good thing. Because I think that this and my number 5, which we'll get to in a minute, really interchange a lot because I see both highs and flaws of both. Homecoming, I think... it's a very funny Spider-Man movie. It's a John Hughes Spider-Man movie is what it is. It's a John Hughes kind of movie. So I honestly think that you have that aspect of it, but then also, you gotta remember too, it's like, we're very deep into the MCU when we get this movie. So, if they did a movie just called Spider-Man, not even Homecoming, just Spider-Man, and Sony and Marvel figure out their rights out during Phase 1, early Phase 2, we'll probably get a more, typical Spider-Man, street-level Spider-Man movie where Tony Stark doesn't give him the tech. But you gotta remember too, the way that the MCU took, having Civil War and then Doctor Strange and Guardians 2, then Homecoming after that, we're very deep into the MCU at this point. So I think that they had to do what worked best within their story in the overall scheme of things. I do see the problems with it more now than I used to. But I do think it's still a very, very good Spider-Man movie. I think it's a very good... almost like how people try and... even how I try and view Batman Robin in a more positive light. How I view that one more as a comedy than an actual, superhero movie. That one to me is more a unintentional comedy. Which this one is a intentional comedy because they wanted to make it very funny. But I view this movie kind of like Batman Robin, more of a comedy superhero movie than an actual serious, with a little bit of dash of humour like you normally get in Spider-Man 1, Spider-Man 2, things like that. So, but Homecoming is very, very good. I love Homecoming. Don't think that I'm saying, even though that I have critiques of Homecoming, but it's still a very, very good Spider-Man movie. I love Homecoming. I think it's great. Number 5 is Spider-Man Far From Home. This goes very back and forth with Homecoming. There are times when because I honestly do think Homecoming is a better made movie. The story is better. Far From Home has some story problems, but I think that, very much like Tasman 2, the highs of Far From Home outweigh the negatives. I think that, honestly, Far From Home is one of those movies that I'm the action's very good. I love the whole bit of him fighting Hydro Man and even Molten Man and things like that. I love the Mysterio stuff. Jake Gyllenhaal is doing an amazing job in this movie, and Tom Holland doing amazing as always. I do think it's a little stupid that they made Nick Fury a Skrull. I think that's very stupid. But I think that the action's incredible. I think that the comedy is still there. It's still a very funny Spider-Man movie. I think that, like, yes, the lows are probably more low than Homecoming, because, like, Homecoming, yes, Spider-Man's not doing a lot in his own movie, but, like, in Far From Home, it's like, yes, why would Tony Stark give Spider-Man really good high-tech glasses, and then, like, why would Spider-Man, like, give it to the bad guy and things like that? But it's like, you don't realize that he's a bad guy. Like, yes, for sure, like, you probably saw the twist coming, but the thing is that, like, a lot of people didn't. Because the things with Mysterio, he's a villain that you can very much do he's being good, and then, like, even if it was like, more closer to the end, we find out that he's a villain. Like, yeah, you do see the twist coming, but I think that where they put the reveal in the movie made it way too obvious. Was half the problem. But I think that Far From Home has a very high highs that really work in the grand scheme of things. And I think that Far From Home is also one of those movies, to me, that you look at all the Spider-Man movies, like, yeah, sure, like, you might go, like, if I said to someone, like, here's all the Spider-Man movies, what one are you going to skip? Other than Spider-Man 3 and maybe TASM 2, they'll probably go, like, yeah, I'll probably skip Far From Home. But I think that Far From Home is a lot more fun and better of a movie that people give credit for. I think that it's a well done movie. I think that, yes, there's some story problems, but almost every movie has some story problems. Like, Stranger Things Season 5 had story problems. Like, No Way Home, you can say, has story problems. Like, things like that. So, like, there's story problems in almost every movie. No movie's perfect, but, like, the fact that people look at from the end of Phase 3 and onward as, like, not great Marvel movies is ridiculous to me. They're all great. I think that it's so good. But Far From Home has very high highs. I think that the music is so good. I love the Tom Holland Spider-Man theme. But yeah, no, I think it's just great. Number 4, Spider-Man Brand New Day. Yes, so there is a huge gap from TASM 2 from Amazing Spider-Man, and then, like, Far From Home and TASM 2, that area is all kind of one range. A step above that is Brand New Day for sure. I think that Brand New Day, like, if you heard my spoiler review, I had like, little problems, but I think that this is Spider-Man Brand New Day, to be honest, is the only Spider-Man movie that I've given a 9 out of 10 to. Because I can see the faults in it. Like, and I think the faults are mainly nitpicks with me. Not necessarily, like, faults of, like, this is a bad movie. I think it's mainly just nitpicks on my end. But I honestly think that Brand New Day, like, is going to stand on its own legs very well in the future. Because we've had 3 movies of basically doing his origin story within 3 movies. And, like, obviously you're going to have those people that prefer No Way Home more than Brand New Day, or Brand New Day more than No Way Home. But I think that those are the 2 best Tom Holland movies. Which, like, Far From Home and Homecoming, like I said, I love them. They're great. But they kind of I can find issues with them when I'm like, it's more based on what the character is normally than my gripes with the movie itself. But Brand New Day, like, I thought that was great. I thought that the twists and turns really worked in this movie. I think that the acting was also really, really good. I think that it was fun seeing Spider-Man and Punisher on the same screen, especially since Punisher was literally introduced in a Spider-Man comic. It was nice seeing Spider-Man and Punisher fight the Hulk, Rage Hulk again, which was sick. And it was very good seeing how they're pushing forward with this movie. Like, you can feel like that this movie is starting a new era of the MCU. Leading into Doomsday Secret Wars, and then after that, our reset. So I'm very curious to see what they do in terms of the grand scheme of things, in terms of the universe, because of this movie, because this movie implanted a lot of things. It's one of those things where it's like, you can definitely see people going like, oh god, that was very, very good. Because like, again, like, because this was some of the best action that we've seen in a Spider-Man movie. Like, the fact that, and like, I didn't mention this in my non-spoiler or spoiler review, but the fact that a lot of the action in this movie was actually based on the PS4 game was amazing. And like, I can easily like take screenshots of going like, that's based on the game. That's based on the game. That's based on the game. And that was sick. I loved how they did that. And I loved how they did the action in this movie. And this was easily the best web swinging that we've seen from the Tom Holland Spider-Man movies. It didn't feel as cinematic as TASM 2, TASM 1, or the Raimi trilogy, but it definitely felt different than the John Watt swinging, which was crazy because this is coming from a guy who loves the final swing in Far From Home. I love the final swing in No Way Home. I love the swinging around the Statue of Liberty with the 3 Spider-Man stuff. I thought that was great. So like, there are moments of great web swing, but they're not really filmed cinematically like the way that Brand New Day is. And I honestly think that like, this movie is kind of what people expected Homecoming to be, at least the people that complain about Homecoming. Where it's like, yes, we're part of this cinematic universe, we have Hulk, we have Punisher and stuff in there, but it feels like a Spider-Man movie. We're not just relying on the tech given to us by the billionaire. So I think that this movie is really, really good. It also shows how smart Peter is, which I thought was very, very cool as well. I thought that was so good. I absolutely love how they did that. Number 3 for me is Spider-Man 2002, Tobey's first movie. This movie not only has nostalgia for me, but I think also my top 3 are never going to change. Because Spider-Man 2002 is one of those ones that I feel like has gotten a lot more hate recently, because everyone has loved Tom Holland, everyone has been kind of revisiting the Andrew Garfield movies and going like, yeah, you know what, I can see the potential what they were doing here. Spider-Man 2002, like, I'm surprised that everyone hates this movie now, because it's like, it's the reason why where we are today with the MCU. Like, Spider-Man, X-Men, and Blade, the reason why we're here with the MCU. Everything about the MCU movies based on those 3 Marvel movies from back in the day, from the different shows with Spider-Man, X-Men, and Blade. So, and I think that, like, Tobey is my favourite Spider-Man. Yes, I do see the critiques of, like, he's not as quippy enough, but I do think that he's really good in these movies. And I think that this is the best superhero origin that we've ever gone. I'm not, and this will kind of give you a hint, because I am going to do an MCU ranking, like from phases 1 to 6 after Doomsday comes out. But you'll see in that, like, I'm not a big origin story person. There's only a few origin stories that I'm like, yeah, that's actually really good. And a lot of them I've given an 8 out of 10 to. But there are some that I'm like, I like this is a real good movie, but I don't dig with this as much as everyone else does. This is like, and that's one of the reasons why I don't really dig Batman Begins as much as I want to. Because it's slow. This movie does the origin, like, slow, but also quick. Like, it goes from the whole, like, Spider-Bite in the first, like, 20-25 minutes. You do the whole, like, his sick bit. He wakes up. You also get the intertwine with the Goblin's origin story as well. You get the whole thing of, how do I put it? Of like Peter waking up and then like him going like, oh, what's happening at the cafeteria, and then also trying to crawl up the wall and things like that. So you don't get action, but you get like him going like, oh, I'm starting to feel a little different. Like, I'm jumping from building to building. I'm crawling up walls now. I can fight people within the cage match and things like that. Which TASM doesn't do that. TASM's just like, yeah, he can do all these things, but he's just hungry. So it's like, what? But yeah, no, and like this movie has aged so well. I think that this movie still holds up, which is amazing. I love how it's held up. I think that's absolutely incredible. And obviously James Franco does a good job. Kristen does do a good job. I love the action, even though that the action, like in terms of CGI, doesn't look amazing. Looks better than you remember it being. And I love this movie. I think it's so good. This is one of those ones where it's like, it's half nostalgia, but also I just realized how good of a movie the Tobey Spider-Man movies are. But because people either didn't grow up with Tobey or didn't or don't really dig that type of Spider-Man where like the 60s Spider-Man, which is what Tobey's based off, because people don't dig with that type of Spider-Man, they just hate all three movies and go like, no, there's no merit to them, they're absolutely awful, which absolutely wrong. I disagree with that wholeheartedly. But anyway, so number 2 we have Spider-Man 2. It took me a while to come around to this movie. I always liked it, but I was always like, no, Spider-Man 2, 2002 is better. It was always in second place for me in terms of the Tobey movies. I think that not until this last year or so, I did a rewatch like early this year, I think. Just because I want to rewatch all the Spider-Man movies again, and I was like, no, this is the best Tobey Spider-Man movie and one of the best superhero movies, period. And then I watched it a second time with my cousin because my cousin's never seen it. So we watched that, and like, if you watch our podcast, the Marvel show, he wasn't a big fan of the first Tobey one. Like, he liked it, but he didn't think it was some crazy thing. But he really liked Spider-Man 2. So I think that this is one of those movies that, like, very much like the first one, people have been kind of split on it now because, like, you have the people that grew up with it or realize that it's a good movie, or they just hate it because they don't dig with that type of tone for Spider-Man, which is crazy to me. Because you have Alfred Molina chewing the scenery as Ock, and the fights are unbelievable. Like, the whole train scene is great. The bank scene, when he's trying to rescue May. And, like, the choreography is also incredible, which is great. The one-liners are a little cringe, but it's also, like, that's what you expect from a comic book movie. It's meant to be a comic book movie. Kind of like the Batman 60s show. It's like, it's that type of thing. So, it's one of those things where it's like, it does have similar vibes in terms of the comedy, a little bit. Not a lot, but a little bit like Joel Schumacher's Batman movies. But not as cringe. Because Sam Raimi actually knows what he's doing. Because Sam Raimi's a big Spider-Man fan, so like, yeah, sure, Spider-Man 3 is not that great, but you can understand that movie has sauce. And you can go like, I can see good things in this movie, because Sam Raimi is doing a good job with the camera and the different techniques and stuff, even though that the whole Venom storyline is the weakest part of that movie. But other than that, he's cooking in terms of the Harry storyline, the Sandman storyline. But, like, he does such a good job with all three of these movies. And Spider-Man 2 is clearly one of the pinnacles of the superhero movie genre. And it's crazy to me that not many people put it up there in terms of best superhero movies. Especially since, like, Brand New Day has come out and people go like, oh, is it as good as Spider-Man 1 or Spider-Man 2? It's like, Brand New Day is very, very good. But no. It's not better than Spider-Man 1, Spider-Man 2. And it's even not better than my number 1, which is Spider-Man No Way Home. This movie, I always change my mind on this movie. I always keep it as my number 1 or favourite movie of all time. Because 1, because of the theatre experience, and 2, also, if you see my video why I think that No Way Home is better than the Spider-Verse movies, my thing with No Way Home is that, like, even though the Spider-Verse movies are very, very good, anyone can do those Spider-Verse movies. You didn't have to get the guys from the Lego movie. You could go on Pixar to make the Spider-Verse movies, and they would have also been incredible. Which, like, No Way Home had never been done before, getting 3 live-action Spider-Man on the same screen, and seeing it in the theatre and also watching it at home. Like, even watching it at home, still gives me goosebumps hearing the Doc Ock theme and Ock coming onto camera, dodging all the cars, and then the octopus arm comes out, goes up and goes, "Hello, Peter," and then like it still gives me chills when the bomb drops down on the bridge and you hear the Dafoe laugh and things like that. And like what I also love about this movie is that how short it feels, even though that is quite a long movie. But you know that as soon as the apartment fight is going, you're like, oh my god, we don't have long until this movie's finished. Like, this movie's actually gone very quick. And the fact that this movie was able to juggle all the different villains, and basically go like, okay, let's take our pre-established villains from all the movies before Tom Holland, put them into this movie and continue on their motivations. Then we don't have to make new motivations for them. We don't need to worry about these other things. Like, that's what will make it work, is the villains and keeping their motivations. And the fact that you bring back Toby and Andrew and they're basically, like, after Aunt May gets killed off, they're basically your Uncle Ben. And you also have, like, the whole thing of this movie. What I love about this movie, and why it's my favourite movie of all time, and why it's my favourite MCU movie, well, it's well from MCU ranking, but you kind of knew it was coming. And my favourite Spider-Man movie is because this movie is about second chances. And it's very difficult to do a movie about second chances, because this movie is about Tom Holland going like, I'm going to save these villains because that's who I am. I'm not a person that murders villains. So like you watch all this stuff happen and you're like, even though that half the time you're like, Peter, this is not going to work, you do kind of go like, oh, actually, because you're on the edge of your seat, especially in the apartment before all that shit goes down. You're like, oh my god, what's going to happen here? Boy, Norman and Peter are doing the whole, like, fixing the inhibitor chip for Ock. Like, Norman's going like, impressive, the technology and you. Like, when this is over and you're willing to commit to another universe. Like, when I heard that in the theatre, I was like, what? Are you telling me that we can get Tom Holland in Toby's universe working for Norman Osborn? Like, I kid you not, because I didn't know how the movie was going to end. So, watching that in the theatre, I was like, yes, please save all these villains, and please go into Toby's universe. Not even if you just want to, like, don't even worry about getting a Toby Spider-Man 4. Just at least, like, have a Spider-Man for you, Tom Holland's Peter Parker, are working with Dafoe's Goblin, like, at Oscorp. Like, that would be amazing. Like, it's crazy. So, it's, yeah, no, I really loves that. And like the fact that like they fix the inhibitor chip and things like that, and you have like the like Ock turns good and things like that, and then like you have the whole conversations, like they have like Electro has a conversation with Andrew at the end, and like does the whole apology thing, and then like you had the reunion between Ock and Toby. Like, that was great to me. Like, throughout that whole bit, I was smiling from ear to ear, because I'm like, this thing gives me goosebumps. It gives me chills just thinking about it. I'm like, oh my god. And yeah, and then like Doctor Strange, like, I wasn't a big Doctor Strange fan. I like him in the Avengers movies, and I like Multiverse of Madness more than most people. So I honestly think that Multiverse of Madness is one of those movies that I'm like, this is very, very good. But he's great in movies that are not his standalone. Multiverse of Madness is the better one. But I prefer him more as a supporting character. And I honestly think that No Way Home is one of those things where, like, they were able to do a Spider-Man cinematic universe without basically doing what they were going to do with Andrew's stuff, where it was like, okay, let's do a Rhino movie, let's do a Black Cat movie, let's do a TASM 3, let's do a Sinister 6 movie, let's do an Ant-Man spin-off, let's do a whole movie about Peter's parents, and things like that. So, like, which Spider-Man No Way Home did in a way where I was like, no, let's do a whole new movie. Let's basically do what the Infinity Saga did. Like, when the Avengers came out, I was like, oh, you want to watch the Avengers? Well, guess what? You just need to watch 4 more movies. But it's like, for No Way Home, you just need to watch, like, what? You need to watch 7 Spider-Man movies. And that's not a lot. So it's like, let's just make everyone watch 7 Spider-Man movies so they can understand all the villains' motivation, so they can watch this. Also, and also the icing on the cake, having Tobey and Andrew pop back up, which is just great and makes me very excited to see if Tobey is in Doomsday and Secret Wars, because the stuff that they even set up, right? Because apparently one of the ideas for Brand New Day was to, and we even talked about it, me and my cousin talked about it on the Marvel show, or the Marvel Cinematic Universe podcast, back when it was called that. How Sony is thinking of doing another multiverse Spider-Man movie, which I was like, I'm kind of on the fence about. I'm like, on one side, I get you're in the multiverse saga, so like, you need to do multiverse movies, but then also like, you're like, Tom Holland hasn't got a street level movie, you need to do a street level movie. But apparently that movie was going to be Tobey and Andrew coming back, and then the symbiotes, like, and Andrew going like, oh, well, fine, alien. It's like, so I'm very curious that in Secret Wars we actually get that. We actually get Secret Wars, and we have Andrew and Tobey fighting Tom Holland with the symbiote suit. Like, that would be sick. So yeah, so guys, that is my ranking of Spider-Man movies. Please hit the like button down below. If you aren't already, subscribe, press the little bell icon to get notified of future videos I make. I'll see you guys next time. Take care. Bye.
Hey there. Subscribe to my channel. And also press this bell icon.